Okay, this is gonna be fun. I'm gonna get so much hate for this video, and I'm just gonna watch that subscriber count go through the floor after my last video. Oh well. But you gotta do this kind of thing sometimes. Anyway, so the new Velma trailer just dropped a few days ago, I think, and it's not good. Like, it is everything I hate about adult animation these days. Like just about everything, really. Like, literally, it's just... Listen, you know, Rick and Morty... No, let me just explain myself, okay? If you haven't seen the trailer, go watch it, because I'm going to assume you have, just for convenience sake. Good? Good. Okay, let's go on. Is that the show fundamentally seems to be, oh, look, we can do mature things. Ain't that cool? I mean, it's what it seems like sometimes. Like, oh, we can say die now, which, by the way, I'm pretty sure the cast said multiple times before. They deal with Ghost, after all. But, is like, and Velma is some whiny jerk-type person on the internet kind of thing? Like, what? I swear every other Velma would beat this Velma up purely on the grounds of being not cool enough. Seriously, like, every other version. It's gonna be like the Avengers. But, and like, it's just, okay. Let's get on to this point. Now we get on to the fourth wall breaking part, and oh boy. Now, this is gonna sound weird, because one of my favorite cartoons ever is Garfield. But I hate fourth wall breaking 99% of the time. It is the best way to take someone out of the experience by reminding them it's a fictional story every 5 seconds. And I don't like it when Deadpool does it. I don't like it when Harley Quinn does it. I don't like it when She-Hulk does it. I don't like it pretty much when anyone does it. Only Garfield can consistently pull it off good. Rick and Morty can occasionally too. But it's like, in my opinion, I consider it a crutch for modern writers. That modern writers, especially new ones, use as a coping mechanism, because when they realize they have a generic plot line or something that's simple, you know, I mean, their response to is, oh no, it has to be different, because, you know, it's not like we're not telling the same, you know, it's not like we don't constantly play with similar ideas because people like them sometimes. You know what I mean? So they're like, oh, what if we acknowledge how, like, oh, look how campy this is. Oh, look, we're doing this. Ain't that fun, audience? Aren't you watching this? And, like, dude, it gets the more annoying the more you do it. Like, from both the trailer shows it and the interviews I've been able to find from the like, voice actors, like, it's just, it's just so much of that, like, it's like fourth wall breaking meta humor, and I don't like it. Like it can work, like I said, but it's so rare it does, and it's used as a crutch most of the time, just to get around that. And I think it's also a lazy joke to some extent too. Rather than be actually funny, you just have to point at the conventions of your story. Not to mention, it often comes kind of disrespectful to, you know, the work that came before you, because then it's like, oh, look, we're better than that because we acknowledge its stereotypes or something. Like, and also, like, why? Like, I just don't get it, okay? I think for fourth wall breaking is overdone at this point. It needs to, like, if you want to do it well, at least. Now we get to the real meat and potatoes. The big cojones, the whole maturity thing. This is an adult series, they say. It's gonna be adult. We're gonna have blood and dicks and butts and all that jazz. Like, okay, listen. You know what this reads like to me? This reads like someone who grew up in one of those super conservative households. Like, I mean, so conservative that if a woman shows like anything below the chin, that she'll instantly be branded as a heretic. I'm talking like that extreme, okay? Like someone who was like raised in that household their entire life, and then was like somehow vaguely aware of like mature, gross things. So when they get out into the world, they proceed to spam it like it's the most powerful food strategy in a video game. Like, it's just like, oh, look, I can say blood, I can say these words, because that's what it feels like to me. It feels like it's like, oh, look, we can do this adult, mature thing. We're not like that kiddie show. Like, literally, the way they talk about how they don't have Scooby-Doo in it just literally comes off like, we're too old and mature for Scooby-Doo. We don't need a talking dog. We're mature and cool. Because that's what it feels like to me. That's what it feels like to me. Some bloody, like, just some, like, them thinking they need to be cool and edgy. And, like, dude, if you can't figure out a way to make Scooby-Doo one of the main characters in the Scooby-Doo franchise to work in your show just because you want to be mature, that doesn't come off like you're trying to be sincere to maturity. It sounds like you're just too edgy or bad of a writer to come up with a way to make him work. That's what comes off to me. But, like, it's, like, dude, there's so many ways. Like, and the thing is, the show isn't even that serious from what I can tell. It's goofy and silly in its own way, and not really mature. Like, it's not, like, there's a difference between being adult and being mature. Adult is like, I don't know how to describe it, okay? I'm sure you can find someone else on the internet who could explain better than I could, but it just comes off immature. Like I said, it comes off like people who just learned about these things and now spamming it every time they get. And not like people who are actually trying to be sincerely mature or actually, deal with things occasionally. And, like, you could do that. There are ways to make a more mature Scooby-Doo by still staying true to its heart and not turning it into a generic mature thing. Like, I plan to release a small video clip of, like, my opinion of, like, a scene of how you can make something mature in Scooby-Doo without destroying its heart. But I'm not going to put that in this video, purely because the last time I did this in a Scooby-Doo video, it was by far the worst part of the video, so I'm not going to do that here. So I'll just leave that as a separate video. Maybe I'll link it in the description once I release that. But the point is, and, like, also, the creators multiple times cite Rick and Morty and Harley Quinn as their main inspirations, rather than Scooby-Doo. Like, at least that show feels like, and, like, listen, those shows have their points, but they also have their flaws. Ask anyone on the internet, what their opinions of Rick and Morty are, and you'll find, like, people being mixed about it. Harley Quinn, from my understanding, has generally higher opinions, but also doesn't seem to consistently reach the same heights that Rick and Morty can occasionally. So I guess it's like a slow burn versus fine and fast kind of thing, I don't know. But, and then it's like, those two shows have their merits. Like I say, they're popular for a reason. They did do some clever things. But, and this is where the but comes in, is that those are two very particular kind of shows who, like I said, have their own flaws. Mostly is that they're kind of meta in a way. Like, it doesn't work out so bad for Rick and Morty because it's working with original characters, but a lot of Harley Quinn, especially with the good guy characters, somewhat built upon dragging characters down into the dirt. Like, just look at Batman. Like, I'm sorry, if you like Harley Quinn, there's a lot to like about it, but jeez, they did Batman dirty. Like, oh, poor Bats. Tower of Babel wasn't this bad for you, but no, even these ice to meet you, that couldn't burn you, frost burn you as bad as that show could, Bats. But it's like, both of those shows are kind of built to a degree on being shocking and edgy, and it kind of works for them, but it just proves to me exactly my point on the Scooby-Doo show. In fact, if anything, it interests me exactly what I'm saying, that these writers just wanted to make a Rick and Morty style show, and they just had the Scooby-Doo characters lying around, because they don't really seem to care about the franchise. Like, geez, what I hear about Fred, it's just, listen, like, I can make an entire video on the character assassination of Fred, but geez, this show somehow makes it worse. I mean, I thought Mystery Incorporated was like his lowest point, but geez, they can somehow take him lower. But, so, to go on with all of this, what are my final thoughts on this whole mess? Overall, I think the new Velma show is probably going to crash and burn. I suspect the network will give it a few seasons to try to prop it up, but I don't think it will go very far. I think it'll get some people during and after its run will try to say it was there nice that bad? They'll cite some actually good points in it, and I think this show will be used as the basis for every Scooby-Doo project going forward, so any character changes they make in this series will become character traits moving forward. And, though that could be bad in a lot of ways, but, overall, I think there is potential in an adult Scooby-Doo show, but it ultimately requires a different hand at writers who actually want to make a mature Scooby-Doo show rather than just another generic adult cartoon show, because they can be edgy and say curse words now. ultimately, I think the show will eventually die. I think the success of these kind of shows, riding off of Rick and Morty and now Harley Quinn, is eventually going to die down when everyone and the mother makes one. So then people will either be forced to give up on adult animation, which would be kind of tragic, or they will actually learn how to actually tell a mature story rather than just, oh look, we did a thing. Like, that's my personal opinions on the I guess adult animation now as well. But yeah, that's my opinions on the Velma show, what I think is going to pan out with it. If you like or disagree, please comment down below. You know the jazz. I would love to talk to you guys. Anyway, see you next time. Yeah. Hey, why don't you hit that sub button? You're going to become a subscriber. Get to see my content quicker. Wouldn't that be nice? I bet so.